10s, we're going to look today at a new topic, long division. Now this is long division with algebra. You did this when you were more or less in grade 3 and you learned how to do long division just with numbers. So if I have, for instance, 5, 6, 2, 3, and I want to divide this number now by 25. Then your teacher taught you, first you're going to divide, then you multiply, and then you subtract. That is the 3 steps that we go through. Divide, multiply, subtract. And we're going to do exactly the same now. So you said, how many times will 25 divide into 56? And that is then 2 times. Then we multiply. That gives us 50, and then we subtract. So 56 minus 50 is 6. Then in the next step, you brought this one down. And now we're going to do the same thing. How many times will 25 divide into 62? So it will still be 2 times. Multiply, then it is 50, and then we subtract. So that gives us 12. Now we bring down that next number, 123. How many times, so you repeat the steps, how many times will 25 divide now in 123 times? Is 4 times. So I will multiply with 4. It gives me, and 4 times 25 is 100. If we subtract it now there, we get a remainder of 23. And now with algebra, we are going to do exactly that same thing with long division. So the example that I want to show you now is x plus 1, and I'm going to divide this into x squared minus 9x minus 10. Long division. So it is the 3 steps, divide, multiply, subtract. And that is what I'm going to do. So how many times will x divide into x squared? So it is then x squared divided by x1. Indices, we work with indices here, so if you divide, you subtract. So that means it is x times. Now I have to multiply. The only difference is now that you have to multiply with both here. So x times x is x squared, and x times 1 is positive x times. Now I must subtract. If we subtract, we change the second signs and add. So this one eliminates now, and that is what you want. You want that one to eliminate. This gives me negative 10x, and I bring down the next one, the negative 10. So that's my 3 steps. Now you're just going to repeat that and do the same. How many times will x divide into negative 10 times? Negative 10x, it will be negative 10 times. Multiply, then you have negative 10x, multiply there, minus 10. And now the last step to subtract, so we change the second signs and add, and this one eliminates, so there is no remainder. We call this one the quotient. So this is the long division that we're going to do. Now we start now with try now 6 on page 94. Now the first exercise is now just division. We're not going to do long division at this stage here. So there's the first one, 8a plus 12, and I have to divide it by negative 4. This means that you're actually going to divide each one with that negative 4. That's what we're going to do. And then it works sign, number, letter. So a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now you do it with the same one there, 2a, the a remains there. Positive divided by negative is a negative, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Number B, 7m squared plus 8mn divide by m. So we're going to divide each one with that m. So it is 7m. Remember, I subtract my indices, and there it will be plus 8n. I divide each one with a denominator. Number 60c, 16x squared y squared plus 24x3y over 8x squared y squared is equal to. So I'm going to divide each one. So this one gives you 2. Look, the x and the y will cancel out. And then dividing here, it will be plus 3. I subtract my indices, so it's x to the power of 1. But look now at the y. The biggest one is at the bottom. So 2 minus 1, it means that one will then be a denominator. It will remain there as a denominator. Number D. Now this is a very large one. 4a3b, 3 plus 8a squared b squared plus 6a to the power of 4 b squared minus 2a squared b4. And we're dividing this whole sum by 2a squared b squared. Each one must be divided. So you are going to do 4 division sums here. Sign, number, letter. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I subtract my indices when I divide, so it will be A, B. You can write the ones or omit it, that doesn't matter. Now here, positive 4, if I subtract, both of them will fall away. Here, it will be positive 3. A4 minus a squared is a to the power of 2. B will cancel out because you get b to the power of 0, and anything to the power of 0 is 1. Now here, this will give us negative 1, and then b to the power of 2. B to the power of 2. Number E. 24 a squared b squared minus ab squared plus 48 a3 b to the power of 4, and then we're going to divide with negative 12 a squared b squared. We're going to divide there. Again, it means each one must be divided by that denominator, sign, number, letter. So a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Subtract your indices so they fall away. The next one, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Now, if you look now here, the biggest number is now at the bottom, so it will remain there. The biggest A is there. 2 minus 1 is 1, and B will fall away, so it will be 1 over 12. The last one, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 4, subtracting my indices, A, B squared. There's my answer. And the next one, number F. So also a large number, 6x 5y squared plus 2x to the power of 4 y3 minus 3x3y minus y4 and minus 5x squared y5, and this whole thing is over negative x squared y squared. Okay, So each one must be divided like that. Sign, number, letter. So positive divided by negative is a negative. 6 divided by 1 is 6. What do I do with my indices when I divide? I subtract. So it's x to the power of 3. Y will cancel out. Now this one, positive divided by negative is a negative. Negative 2. Subtracting your indices, x squared, y1. If we divide here, in negative divided by negative is now a positive 3. Subtracting my indices will be x1, y squared. And the very last one here, again, a negative divided by negative is a positive. Positive 5. X will fall away, and it is y to the power of 3. Right. Now we're going to try now 7. And this is then now long division. First watch the first two while I explain. Then you try the next two before you mark them. Right, number A. X squared plus 10x minus 12. And I have to divide this number by x plus 2. Now, we're going to apply the 3 steps. Divide, multiply, subtract. That's what we're going to do now, as you've learned in grade 3. Right. How many times will x divide into 8x squared? So what you actually do is 8x squared divide by x. That's what we're doing. So that is then 8x times. Subtract your indices there. So I've divided. Now I'm going to multiply. So I times each one there. So that is 8x squared plus 16x. There's your multiplication. Now I have to subtract. Subtract means change the second signs and add. This one eliminates now here. Positive 10, negative 16, do it on your calculator, is negative 6x. And I have to bring this one down, negative 12. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing. How many times will x now divide into this one? Negative 6 times. So I've divided. Multiply. Negative 6x. Remember to multiply with the second one, minus 12. And now I want to subtract. So when I subtract, I change the second signs and I add. And if we subtract now here, this one eliminates and this one. So 8x minus 6 is the quotient. There is no remainder. X plus 2 is a factor of this trinomial. Number B. Number B. So number B reads 2a squared plus 5a minus 3, and we are going to divide this one by a plus 3. A plus 3. Okay, so what is the 3 steps? Divide, multiply, subtract. That is what we're going to do. How many times will a divide into 2a squared? 2a times. I've divided. Multiply. Remember to multiply with each one there. So it is 2a squared plus 6a. Subtract. We change the second signs and add. So there's a 0. That one eliminates. Plus 5 minus 6 is negative a. And I bring this one down. So we go through the same steps there. How many times will a now divide into negative a? Negative 1 times. Multiply, then you have negative a, negative 3. Now we have to subtract, so we change the second signs and add, and both of them will eliminate. So 2a minus 1 is a factor, Number C. Please try to do this now first before you mark it. So this is b minus 5, and I'm going to divide this into 3b squared minus 13b minus 10. 3 steps. Divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will b divide into this first term? Only in that first term. 3b times. Multiply. So you have 3b squared minus 15b. Now we change the second signs and add. Here it eliminates. Negative 13 plus 15 is positive 2b. I bring down that one, negative 10. Right, we do the same thing again. How many times will b divide into 2b? Plus 2 times. Multiply, then you have 2b minus 10. And we want to eliminate that one, so subtracting means change the second sign, 0, 0. So 3b plus 2 is the quotient, and b minus 5 is a factor of this one. The last one, number D. So I'm going to divide p plus 3 into p squared plus 7p plus 12. Divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will p divide into the first term there? P times. Multiply. So it is p squared plus 3p. Subtract. Change the second signs. Eliminates. Plus 7 minus 3 is positive 4p, and I bring down the next term. Now we do it again, the same thing. How many times will p divide into 4p? Plus 4 times. Multiply, so you have 4p plus 12. I'm going to subtract, so I change my second signs. They will eliminate. P plus 4 is the quotient, P plus 3 is the factor, and this is then the first ones to long division. Make sure that you understand these basic ones here. Grade 10s, we continue then with long division. Long division. Now, here we're going to find some places where we have a remainder, but we're going to do exactly the same steps. I'm going to do one example for you. 5x minus 4, and I want to divide this into 50x to the power of 3 plus 10x squared minus 35x minus 7. So this is now into a expression where we start with x to the power of 3. It works exactly the same. You're going to go through the same steps. Divide, multiply, subtract. So we are still going to ask, how many times will 5x divide into 50x to the power of 3? And that will be then 10x squared. Remember, you divide there. Then we multiply with each one. So that gives us 50x to the power of 3, 2 plus 1. And then with the second term, is negative 40x squared. So we multiplied. Now we want to divide, and that means we change the second signs and add. This one eliminates. 10 plus 40 gives me 50x squared, and I bring down the next one, negative 35x. So now I'm going to divide again. How many times will this one divide into that first one there? And it will be negative 10x. Multiply, then you have negative 50x squared. Now it will be positive 50x squared. And then multiply here will be negative 40x. I'm going to subtract, so I change the second signs, minus and a positive. This one eliminates. And then negative 35 plus 40 is positive 5x. I bring down that last number, which is 7 minus 7 then there. So we're going to do the same thing. How many times will 5 divide into this one? Once. Multiply, then we have 5x. 1 times 4 is negative 4. And then we're going to subtract, so we change the second signs and add. This one is 0, and this one is then negative 3. So it means this one's answer, this is your quotient, and now you have a remainder of negative 3. So it still works exactly the same. So let's look now at try now 8. Try now 8, and this is on page 96. Right. Now the first ones are still easy. I would like you to first do them and then listen to the recording. So x minus 8, and we're going to divide this one into x squared minus 7x minus 11. Straightforward what we did, divide, multiply, subtract. So x will divide into this first one, x times, multiply both there, x squared minus 8x. I subtract, so I change the second signs, and this is then x, 8x, no, 1x, negative 7 plus 8 is 1x. Bring down that one, negative 11. So how many times will x divide into this one? Positive 1 times. Multiply, then you have x minus 8. Change the second signs. This one eliminates. Negative 11 plus 8 is negative 3. So there's a remainder of negative 3. A remainder of negative 3. Number B. Y squared minus y minus 29. And I want to divide with y minus 6. Okay. Divide, multiply, subtract. That's what we keep on doing. How many times will y divide into y squared? Y once. Multiply, then you have y squared minus 6y. Subtract, change the signs. Negative 1 plus 6 is 5y. I bring down the negative 29. Okay, and we go through the same process. How many times will it divide? Positive 5 times. So now it is 5y plus 30. No, this is a minus 6, so it will be minus 30. Minus 6 there. And change the second signs and add. Eliminates. And this one is then 1. So a remainder of 1. That one has a remainder of 1. Number C, m squared plus 10m plus 18, and this is then m plus 5. So that's what we're going to divide. Divide, multiply, subtract. So m divides into m squared m times. Multiply m squared plus 5m. Subtract, eliminates, positive 5m. You bring down the last one, plus 18. How many times will m divide into this one? There, positive 5 times. I multiply, so then you have 5m plus 25. Subtract, change the second signs and add. That one eliminates. Plus 18 minus 25 is a negative 7. So I have a remainder of negative 7. There's a remainder of negative 7. Number D. N squared minus 7n plus 10, and we are dividing this one D. We're dividing this one by n minus 1. N minus 1. So divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will it divide? N times. Multiply n squared minus n. Change the second signs to subtract. This one eliminates. This one is negative 6n. I bring down this one, plus 10. Same thing. How many times will it divide there? Negative 6 times. Multiply, then it is negative 6n plus 6. And now we change the signs, so this is plus 4. So my answer will be remainder 4. Remainder 4. Right, grade 10s. Now I want you to try the following ones first before you mark them. First do the sums before you mark them. Right, grade 10s, let's mark the following. So now we have just expressions with more powers, but it works the same. Divide, so we are going to divide, multiply, and subtract. That's what we're going to do all the time. So the first question is, how many times will x divide into x to the power of 3 times x squared? Multiply. So it's x3 plus 2x squared. Remember, we multiply with both of them there. Now we have to subtract, and for that we change the second signs. This one eliminates. Positive 7 minus 2 is 5x squared. We bring down the next one, plus 14x. How many times will x divide into 5x squared now? Plus 5x times. Multiply, then you have 5x squared, multiply, plus 10x. And we subtract. So we change the second signs and add. Here it eliminates. Plus 14 minus 10 is 4x. And you bring down that last term, plus 3. How many times will x divide into 4x? Positive 4 times. So we have 4x, multiply there, plus 8. And we subtract, so we change the signs. Look at that step, because that's where we make the mistakes. 0, negative 5. So this one is remainder negative 5. This is the quotient, this is the remainder. Number B. Okay. Divide, multiply, subtract. So how many times will y divide into y to the power of 3? Y squared. Multiply. So it is y to the power of 3 minus 5y squared. Change the second signs and add to subtract. Eliminates here. Negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5y squared. And we have to bring down the next one, plus 20y. How many times will y now divide into negative 5y squared? Negative 5y times. Multiply, then you have negative 5y squared. Negative times the negative is positive 25y. Subtract, so we change the second signs and add. This one eliminates. Plus 20 minus 25 is negative 5y. We bring down the last one, plus 26. And now you repeat those steps. How many times will y divide into negative 5y times? Negative 5. Multiply, then you have negative 5y. Negative times negative is positive 25. We subtract, so we change the signs. You eliminate here, and there's a remainder of 1. So this one's answer is remainder 1. This is the quotient, there's the remainder. Number C. Divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will a divide into a to the power of 3? That is a squared times. Multiply a3 plus 3a squared. Now we must subtract. So we change the second signs and add. So that is negative 5a squared. Bring down this one, negative 14a. How many times will a divide into this one? Negative 5a times. Multiply, negative 5a squared, negative 15a. And subtract. Change the second signs. There is an elimination. Negative 14 plus 15 is 1a. We bring down that one, the negative 5. And we repeat the same thing, and it will now be positive 1. Multiply, then you have a plus 3. Subtract, so we change the second signs, and this one is then negative 8. So remainder, negative 8. This is the quotient, there's the remainder. Right, let's look at the last example, number D. Divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will v divide into v to the power of 3? That will be v squared. Multiply v3 minus 7v squared. We subtract, change the signs, eliminates there. Negative 13 plus 7 is negative 6v squared. I bring down that one, plus 40v. And we repeat. How many times will v divide into negative 6v squared? Negative 6v times. Multiply, then you have negative 6v squared plus 42v. And we subtract, so we change the second signs. We change the second signs now here. This one eliminates. This one is negative 2v. Bring down that last term of 18. And we repeat. V divides into this one negative 2 times. Then we have negative 2v. If you multiply there, it is plus 14. To subtract, we change the signs. That one eliminates. and this one is then positive 4. So the answer there, remainder 4. Quotient, remainder. There you have that one. The next one is number E. Now look at number E. I have rearranged number E. It must be in descending powers. So there's p to the power of 3, p squared, p1, and there the constant. You must arrange it. Otherwise you're going to struggle to do this now. So, and I can even do the same thing here. So this is then p plus 3. It is commutative, so it's exactly the same. And now you will divide much easier here. So p divides into p to the power of 3, p squared times. Multiply, then you have p3 plus 3p squared. Subtract, eliminates, negative 17p squared. We bring down this one, negative 30p. Okay, and how many times will this substitute in there, or divide actually in there? Negative 17p times, multiply, then you have negative 17p squared, multiply there, and that is negative 51p. We change the second signs and add, eliminates here, negative 30 plus 51 is positive 21p. We bring down that number, negative 18. Now you divide again, and it will be positive 21, multiply 21p. If we multiply there, it will be 63. Change the second signs and add, so there's an elimination there, plus 18 minus 36, now it's minus 18, plus 63 is 45. Remember we added there. So the remainder is 45. The remainder is 45. Right, and the last one, number F. Number F. Okay. Again, I have arranged this one. Can you see? 3, 2, 1, and the constant. You must rearrange it. So, easy. It divides x squared. I multiply x3 minus x squared. I want to subtract, so I change the second signs. So this gives you negative 4x squared, and we bring down the positive 8x. How many times will x divide into this one? Negative 4x times. If we multiply now, we have negative 4x squared, and there it is positive 4x. We want to subtract here. Sorry, that's negative. That one eliminates, and this is then positive 4x. Now we have to bring down that 4 there. And how many times will x divide in 4x plus 4 times? I multiply, then I have 4x minus 4. Change the second signs and add. And look at this one. This is an 8 there. So it is remainder 8. Quotient and the remainder. Now again, I would like you to do the first one, the next exercise first, and then you watch it. Now, grade 10s, when we come to these sums here, we have to arrange them a little bit more carefully here. Can you see that there is no A? So I've left an open space, or I can even put a 0 there, because there is no A. And otherwise your stuff won't be arranged. So in the first place, we have to look at that. From there, it's exactly the same. It would be a multiply, then I have a squared plus 3a. Can you see now there's a term a and you don't have one at the top. So actually it says a 0 there. So then you have negative 3a. We still bring that one down, the negative 9. How many times will 2a divide into this negative 3a? Now, you cannot actually divide it there further. You cannot divide it there further. So it will be remainder negative 3a minus 9. That is then your remainder. Right, let's look at number B. Again, there is no a, so I left an open space there to do that one. How many times will y divide into y squared? Y times, multiply. Then we have y squared plus 4y. We still subtract, change the second signs. So this one eliminates, and this one is then negative 4y. You bring that one down, negative 4. How many times will y divide into this one? Negative 4 times. So we multiply, then you have negative 4y minus 16. We subtract, so we change the second signs. This one eliminates, and this one is then positive 12. So it will be remainder 12. Remainder 12 there. Number C. Again, I rearrange them, and there is no x squared, so that one is going to be 0. Leave that open space. So x divides into this one, 2x to the power of 3 times. I multiply, then I have 2x to the power of 4 minus 2x to the power of 3. And we're going to subtract here, change the second sign, so that one is 7x3. So what you actually bring down there is the 0. How many times will it divide in there? Plus 7x squared. Multiply, then you have 7x to the power of 3 minus 7x squared. So I change the second signs and I add. Here we eliminate. So this one is then going to be positive 7x. Still bring that one down. 7x squared minus 5x. How many times will it now divide? Plus 7x times. I multiply, then I have 7x squared, and there it will be minus 7x. You subtract, so you change the second signs and add. So there we have 2x minus 2. And it will then there be plus 2. If you multiply, you have 2x minus 2. Again, we change the second signs and add. It will eliminate. There is no remainder. Question D. Can you see that I left 2 open spaces here? Arrange them. First, leave out open spaces. Although we're dividing now here with x squared, it still works exactly the same. It will divide x squared times there. Now we multiply, then you have x to the power of 4 plus 18x squared. So I arrange them there. Subtract, you're still going to do the same steps. This one eliminates. Positive 4 minus 18 is negative 14x squared. And I bring down that one, negative 45. Because you're dividing with the x squared, then it will be minus 14. Minus 14 times that one is negative 14x squared. And negative 14, 14 times 9 is 126. So that gives us negative 126. 26. We subtract, we change the second signs. and then minus 45 gives us 81. So this one is then remainder 81. Okay, so that's what we do with that exercise. So grade 10s, this is then the last exercise now on long division specifically. First try this exercise, then you mark it and make sure that you understand now. So we have to divide x plus 1 into this expression there. You can see it's a cubic expression that we have there. Right, so what do we do? Divide, multiply, subtract. How many times will x divide into this number? And that will be 3x squared. Now you multiply, but we multiply each one. So it is 3x squared plus 3x to the power of 3 plus 3x squared. We need to subtract, so we change the second signs and add. So this one is then negative 5x squared. You bring this one down, minus 7x. And we repeat. How many times will x divide into that negative 5x squared? Negative 5x times. Multiply. Negative 5x squared, if we multiply here, negative 5x. We subtract, so we change the second signs. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2x. You bring this one down, plus the 6. We divide again, so it will be negative 2. Here's a mistake. This one will be negative 2x. Negative 2 times, so it's negative 2x and negative 2. Subtract, change the second signs and add. So this one is 8. So that means it is remainder 8. And in this question, they also asked you, what is the quotient and what is the remainder? This is the divisor, the quotient, and the remainder. Number B. This time you can see I've left an open space there because there is no x squared. I need to arrange them. So we divide again, 2x squared, multiply each one, 2x3, negative 4x squared. Can you see? This is why I need to have a position for x squared. Because I subtract, I change my second signs, I eliminate here, and there it is, 4x squared. You bring down the next one, negative 5x. So we divide again. So that will be positive 4x times multiply. Then you have 4x squared minus 8x. And we subtract, so we change the second signs. 0. Negative 5 plus 8 is then positive 3x. We need to bring this one down, minus 7. So now it is positive 3, multiply, then you have 3x minus 6. If we subtract here, this one eliminates, this one is negative 1, so you have remainder, negative 1. Quotient, remainder. Quotient, remainder. Number C. So it will divide 2a squared. We subtract, eliminates, negative a squared, bring down the next one, negative 6a. I hope you are quite familiar now with the steps. How many times will you divide? Negative a times. Multiply, then you have negative a squared, negative 4a. I subtract, so I change the second signs. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2a. You bring down that next one, the negative 8. And we divide again. This time it will be negative 2 times multiply, then you have negative 2a minus 8. Change the second signs and add, and this one has no remainder. That is the quotient, no remainder here. And let's look at the last one. Again, I left open an position for y. There is no y. I divide, so this is 5y squared, multiply, so I have 5y to the power of 3 minus 5y squared. I subtract, so I change the second signs and add, so this is then 2y squared, and we bring down that 0 basically. How many times will y divide into this one? Plus 2y times. I multiply 2y squared minus 2y. Change the second signs and add. This one is then positive 2y. You bring down that negative 6 there. How many times will it divide? Positive 2 times. I multiply, then I have 2y minus 2. We change the second signs and add, and this is then negative 4. So it is remainder negative 4. Remainder negative 4. Right, grade 10s, that's then long division.
With over 300 games in 6 weeks, get DSTV to watch the best live football action.
News just in. Brace yourselves as One Africa TV's Today on One, our local current affairs lifestyle program, brings you a newly revamped look and feel for the nation at large.
You talk, we listen.
The way they operate, they have to be different. Because we are losing lives here.
With over 1 million impressions on posts, we bring you
Community Voices,
Sport, Consumer Watch,
social media commentary,
the weather, and so much more.
Today on One, always there.
Will fight to survive. There is so much to expect. It's as good as it gets. And there is no feeling like that feeling. A game of margins, a game of thrills.
Oh, it might just bounce kindly. Even better than that.
Live sport is back on GoTV. It doesn't get any better than catching all the action from La Liga, Serie A, the Premier League, and WWE as it happens. Take it all in. Get GoTV and subscribe for the ultimate live sport on Supersport with GoTV Max. GoTV. Live it, love it.